For our third lesson, we're going to continue looking at some factorizing problems. So recall last time we looked at some quadratics where we had ax squared plus bx plus c would be a quadratic in general, but we were only looking at ones where a was equal to 1. So now let's look at ones where a is not equal to 1 and see how we would go about dealing with those. For example, let's try 3x squared minus 12x plus 9. Alright, so what we need to do now is, instead of just looking at what multiplies to 9 and adds to negative 12, we're now going to look at what multiplies to the first term times the last term, so it's a and c. So in this case, AC, if I was to multiply those together, would be 3 times positive 9. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 27, and those same two numbers are going to add to negative 12. So we're looking at multiplies to 27, adds to negative 12. So there isn't that many factors of 27. We've got 9 and 3, and if both of them were negative, you would get negative 12, but negative times a negative is positive, which is what we want. So the factors are negative 9 and negative 3. Now this time we can't just jump to the brackets like we did in the previous one. Because of that 3 out front of the x squared, it requires us to do a little more work. So what we can do is break up the middle term into those two values that we just found. So what we want to do is we'll rewrite the 3x squared, and I'll just use green to show it splitting up. Instead of this negative 12x, I'm going to write minus 9x minus 3x is negative 12x. So that's the same thing as the one we wrote before, but now we've broken it up. Plus the 9, of course. Now we're going to look at it, and we're going to factorize by groups like we did in the previous exercise. So I'm going to group the first two together and the second two together. So if I look at the first two, what's common to 3x squared minus 9x? I could factorize out a 3 and also an x. And if I do that, I'm left with an x minus 3 inside the brackets. Now if I look at the second group there, negative 3x plus 9, the common thing that I can factorize out is a 3. But we're going to actually factorize out the negative 3 because it's negative out front. X will be inside, and then 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. Now you'll notice that we've got two things in the bracket that are exactly the same. And if we've done this correctly, that will always happen. So once we get that, we can now factorize out what was in the brackets, because it's common to both the terms. So we've got x minus 3 up front, left with 3x minus 3 in the second bracket. And I guess if you wanted to fully factorize this one, 3x minus 3, 3's common, so you could have a 3 out front, then x minus 1 and x minus 3. And actually, if we look back to the very beginning of it, we might have noticed that 3, 12, and 9 was divisible by 3, so we could have divided the whole thing by 3 in the first place, and that we would have had that 3 out front, but it doesn't matter if we did or didn't. We should end up with the same answer. Example 2. Let's see, 9x squared plus 9x minus 4. So this time we're looking for, once again, something that multiplies to a times c, so 9 times negative 4, so we're multiplying to negative 36, and we want to add to that middle term of 9. So what are the factors of 36? Well, we've got 9 and 4. 9 and 4 aren't going to get me to 9, so that's not going to work. 6 and 6. Well, 6 and 6 can't get to 9. What about 12 and 3? So 12 plus negative 3 would be 9, and 12 times negative 3 would be negative 36. So those must be what we're looking for. Now remember, once again, we can't just jump right to the brackets. So what we want to do is break up that middle term into the two factors that we just found. So 9x squared plus 12x plus 3x minus 4. And once again, those right there, the 12x and the 3x. Oops, I meant to write minus. See how easy it is to make a mistake with a plus or minus sign. So, once again, sorry, that's 9x squared plus 12x minus 3x minus 4. So 12 minus 3x is 9x. That's that 9x that we have right there. So those two together gives us the 9x. Then we are going to do the same thing as we did in the last one. So we're going to group them, the first two together and the second two together. So the first one, what's common to 9x squared plus 12x? Well, I can divide out a 3x, leaving me with 3x plus 4. Now in the second set of brackets, negative 3x minus 4, there's nothing common there, but if I was to divide out a minus 1, it will give me the same thing as what I have in that first bracket there, which is what I want to do. So I'm going to factor out a negative 1, or a negative if you like, bracket 3x plus 4. Oh, sorry, I just moved that. So you'll notice once again, just like last time, we've got the exact same thing in both brackets, which is what we want. If I factorize that out, I get 3x plus 4, and in the second bracket, 3x minus, and even though I didn't write the 1 in that last one, a minus within the bracket is the same as a 1, so it'd be 3x minus 1. And that can't go any further, so that is the final answer. Let's do one more like that. Example 3. So we've got 4x squared minus 3x minus 1. Okay, so this time I want to know what multiplies to 4 times negative 1, which is negative 4, and what adds to negative 3. So what two numbers would multiply to negative 4? Those same two numbers would add to negative 3. So real quickly, negative 4 plus 1. So negative 4 times positive 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So negative 4 and 1. So I break up those middle terms into those. So x squared, but instead of minus 3x, I write minus 4x plus 1x if you like, or just x minus 1. And then we go to the next line. Once again, we are grouping them. So I look at the first two and I look at the second two. What can I factorize out of the first two? So 4x in this case, leaving me with x minus 1. And the other one, there's nothing I can really factorize out, but I guess you could pull a 1 out. And if I take a 1 out, that doesn't actually do anything. So leaving me with x minus 1. And I guess I didn't really have to write that 1 in front of the brackets, but I didn't this time. So, once again, just like the last two times, you'll notice that what's in the brackets is exactly the same. So then we factorize that out front. So we get x minus 1, and then left over is the other two pieces that go in the second bracket. And then we're finished. Alright, I'd like you to try the next questions on factorizing, and hopefully that'll go okay for you.